I think the Patriots obviously have a better offense than that and will be able to cash in at least one of those mistakes. And the reason I think that those mistakes will happen again is because Houston's offense, for as much as I like CJ Stroud in a vacuum, he did not handle the pressure of a playoff game well. He did not look like the guy who was playing his 5th playoff game. He just didn't.
You're not a fan of the backfield of Woody and Chubb?
Speaking of getting the party started.
For the victory lap, though. They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I should overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Switch gears, with dipping headers in the rear. At the blood, sweat, and tears, and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear. And today, we break through. 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 And today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 93 of the Gridiron Podcast, the only podcast in the world that combines all the grid of Formula One and all the iron of American football. If you're new to the podcast, that's kind of what we talk about on this podcast. We love Formula One, and we cover football for our personal and professional lives. I am Sean Barie. He is Nick Shook, joining me as always, the bald behemoth, holding down the fort in the land. We are absent our Canadian queen, Katie Caldwell, this week. She'll be back here soon. She's got to do some editing stuff for her real-world job. You know, I guess we all...
What's a real-world job?
We all have to make money somehow, since we're not making it doing this. We just do this for fun.
Pay the bills.
Gotta pay the tax man when he comes to collect. Hey, if you want to follow along, we're streaming right now on Twitch, right, Nick?
Actually, I just got a notification that Twitch is not working, but it will be later. This will be posted later. We're streaming live on YouTube, so find us there as well.
All right, where can they find us on YouTube, Nick?
YouTube.com/@gridironpod. That's @gridironpod.
We're also on the socials. We're on Instagram @GridironPod. You can search us on the IG @GridironPod. We're also on the old Tic-Tac machine. It's at the.gridiron.podcast. Find us on TikTok. And you can also email us if you're an OG. You can email us at thegridironpodcast3. That's thegridironpodcast number 3.
Damn those other two.
At gmail.com. We do love hearing from you, and we like to read your emails out on air, and if you have any fun segment ideas for us, send them our way. We are going to talk about what was Wild Card Weekend in the NFL first, and then we're going to break into some Formula One. Not too much happening on track at the moment. Have had some cars on track. We're waiting for the livery announcements here coming up in the next week as well. And, very quiet in the F1 world right now. So we're going to stick mainly to football tonight, but we'll talk a little bit of F1 here coming up. Nick is our resident NFL.com talent writer. You can find his work on NFL.com. He does the whole QB index, so send your hate mail to him, not to the Gridiron Podcast 3 at gmail.com. Don't send your hate mail to us just because you don't like Nick leaving your quarterback out of the top 10, which, Nick, who'd you leave out of the top 10 this week?
Well, the ranking's done with the regular season, so we picked different topics in the playoffs because not every quarterback is playing. So we did an end of season ranking. But you know what's funny is after getting the pissed off weekly rankings, everybody by the end of the season kind of understood where their team, resided and where their quarterback resided. Most of the anger is on Instagram. People have not DM'd me in a couple of weeks. People were very angry about Shador. But what's funny is I went on Cleveland radio yesterday, day before, and gave my analysis of Shador, which is that he I could see him being a plus version of Jacoby Brissett in his career. That's his ceiling. And despite one of the co-hosts vehemently disagreeing with me, most of the listeners were on my side. So it seems like everybody's just kind of calmed down in the new year when it comes to quarterbacks, especially the one wearing 12 in Cleveland.
Everyone's calmed down. You're like, yeah, you're right. He's not the savior of the franchise, but he's not going to suck.
I mean,
mostly.
He sucks sometimes, but
sometimes.
He's not your future. He could be a good backup. He's not your future.
Exactly. We're not talking about Shador Sanders, though, this week on the Gridiron Podcast. We will talk about Wild Card Weekend. Nick, where do you want to start?
Well, we had some bombshells that had to do with your team, so why not start there?
Let's start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going into Monday Night Football, hosting the Houston Texans in the Wild Card round. Haven't lost on Monday night since 1991.
That was 92.
Boy, streaks were born to be toppled in the playoffs when you're the Pittsburgh Steelers as of late. They get blown out 30-6. A lot of that had to do with 2 fourth-quarter defensive touchdowns for the Texans. That defense, man, we've said it time and time again on this podcast. That defense is absolutely for real. Does it have a nickname yet? Because I think it should.
Yeah. When D'Amico Ryans took the job, he said he wanted to operate with a swarm mentality, swarm in all caps. I can't remember what the acronym stands for.
They do swarm to the football.
Yeah.
You do not get a lot of yards after contact. You do not get a lot of yards after catch. It's insane how they wrap up, they tackle so well. I have nothing but good things to say about that Houston defense. That defense, that could be, the Purple People Eaters. That could be the Steel Curtain. That could be, that defense the Legion of Boom. It could take you to the Super Bowl, I think.
Oh, by the way, I know what the acronym stands for.
Yeah.
Special work ethic and mindset.
I don't like that nearly as much as
that's a little disappointing.
Or the Legion of Boom. Don't like that nearly as much.
Underwhelming.
We can just call them the Swarm.
They're not underwhelming, though.
No, they are not underwhelming. They did swarm that Steelers offense. They made Aaron Rodgers seriously contemplate retirement again after they sacked him, forced a fumble recovery for a touchdown, or return for a touchdown, and then returned an interception for a pick six. It was a terrible night. It was a terrible night if you're a Steelers fan like myself. And then not 24 hours later, Mike Tomlin says, peace out.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see the day.
The fan base that, I don't know, a month or so ago was chanting fire Tomlin. Tomlin said, fire me, I'm firing you. I'm out of here.
Fire me? I fire you.
Yeah. You don't fire me, I fire you.
It was a bit of a shock, if I'm being honest. I think everyone in the city really had that same reaction. It came out of nowhere. I didn't think the Steelers were going to fire him. I didn't think he was going to step down or resign. But overwhelmingly, I think the reaction in Pittsburgh to this is, wow, okay, about time. There's not many people that you'll find, there's not many Steelers fans that you'll find that are upset by this move. There was that feeling that it is time to go. How many times are we going to try the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result? And if this marriage isn't working out anymore, it's time to go your separate ways. And I think it was. And we can say thank you for the 19 years, the 19 winning seasons, the Super Bowl, the 2 conference championships, the 8 division titles that Tomlin helped deliver the franchise. But we can also say, okay, you're approaching Marvin Lewis territory here. You've lost 7 straight playoff games. There needs to be a light at the end of the tunnel here.
I think that when a team, how many double-digit playoff losses in a row? 7? 7 now?
All 7. The Steelers have not led in the second half of a playoff game in either of their last 7 playoff games.
Yes, and so when the final defeat of the season is so lopsided, there is an instinctual reaction from fans that somebody must pay for this. We must have some bloodshed of some sort. A coordinator has to get fired. A player needs to get traded. Yes, exactly. And Tomlin stepping down kind of provided that. Now, you're right. Everybody thought, yeah, it was about time. This makes a lot of sense. And I can't disagree. It's just that it also throws the Steelers into this uncertain territory that they have not been in so long. Let's think about the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger retires. You don't have a quarterback. You think Kenny Pickett's going to be the guy. He's not the guy. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields experiment that lasted a year. Throughout all of the uncertainty, the one guiding force that would keep you on the track, that would guarantee that you wouldn't finish with a losing season, which is an incredible privilege, by the way, was Mike Tomlin. Now he's gone. Now there's no guarantee what the hell the Steelers are going to be because they still don't have a quarterback. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, if he's going to play another season, is going to come back now that Mike Tomlin's not there because he came to play for Coach T, as he called him. It has all the makings of a team that is going to linger at 500 or worse next year, which would be a step back. But in sports, in basketball especially, but also in football, the worst place to be is mediocre. Is around 500, never much higher, never much lower, because you can never get a draft pick high enough to truly transform your franchise, and you're never going to get to where you want to go while you're in that in-between space. So perhaps in the long run, it is best for the Steelers and Mike Tomlin to part, and for the Steelers to take a step back or two in order to retool, get the draft capital they need to then become the team that they once were by getting top-tier blue-chip talent in the first round, namely at quarterback. And if ever there was a time for the Steelers to post a losing record and get a good draft pick out of it, it's going to be next year because the quarterback class coming out of college next year is going to be freaking loaded.
Yeah, the quarterback. This isn't going to be that 2021 quarterback class. This is going to be a good, or was it 22? Whatever it was. This is going to be a good quarterback class next year. Dante Moore just announced he's going back to Oregon. You're going to have Arch Manning coming out. You're going to have a lot of quarterbacks coming out of college next year. I agree with you.
I think Sayan might be able to come out too, when I think about it, because he was, I think, redshirted after his freshman year. He played last year. He'll have one more year. That'll be 3 years of eligibility, so he could come out too.
You also might have Ty Simpson. He's already declared for the NFL draft, but in this day and age, you can declare for the NFL draft and then go get
I don't. So he already said he was getting bags from Ole Miss, from Miami, and he turned all of them down in favor of going to the NFL because he didn't want to ruin what he'd built at Alabama. And oh, by the way, Dante Moore going back to school means Ty Simpson's now next in the pecking order behind Fernando Mendoza. Which, good luck, Jets, because I don't think that's a guy that you want to take that high in the draft, but it might be what you do out of necessity. So I think he's gone, but the group is going to be strong. So, like, it's not all nightmares and disaster for the Steelers. It's just that now they have to nail a head coaching hire. They've only made 3 hires since 1969. This is not a place the Steelers...
They did. They're batting 1,000.
But this is not a place that they reside in. So they're very unfamiliar with it, which is why it's so intriguing and fascinating as we enter, the later stages of July into February to see which direction they go in. It's also gone from a coaching market that was so boring to suddenly incredibly spicy, like too spicy to eat without a cup of milk nearby to tamp down the spice.
10 head coaching jobs in the NFL. 10.
That is nearly a third of the league.
And aside from John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin, who are not going to switch teams, you don't know where anyone is going to go in this market. The prevailing thought, though, is that Mike Tomlin is most likely going to take a year off, whether he just goes and lays on a beach somewhere or does broadcasting for
I think he's going to do TV.
Like I don't know if I can see him in TV. Maybe because, Nick Saban has become this great guy on TV. Same with Bill Belichick there for a hot second. Maybe Mike Tomlin can too, obviously. But the great thing is, like Sean Payton with the Saints and the Denver Broncos, if a team wants Mike Tomlin's services, either this year or next, they're going to have to give the Steelers something because they still retain his rights since he stepped down and was not fired. So there is a silver lining to this. I think it was time. It was a shock all the same. I didn't think, this is not a move. You go home after losing to the Houston Texans on Monday night and go, you know what? I think that's it. This was definitely premeditated, thought out for a long time. This is the last ride. When he came to that decision, I don't know if we'll find that out for a long time. We may never find it out. But regardless, it was great to see what he was able to do in those 19 years with the Steelers. Nick, I was in the 8th grade when he was hired.
Yeah, so was that.
When Bill Cowher stepped down, a year removed from a Super Bowl, and Mike Tomlin was hired, a 35-year-old defensive coordinator from Minnesota.
Whatever the middle school for Carlington was named, that's where Sean was attending school at the time.
We didn't have middle school. I was at Carlington Junior Senior High School in Pittsburgh.
And there it is. There's the answer. I don't even know if his voice has gotten deep yet.
I came out of the womb like this, man.
And you're like, wow.
Gaga, want my bottle.
What we did find out this week was that another coaching change, the John Harbaugh move, was a decision that had been made for weeks prior.
Yeah.
Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti had a lengthy press conference in which he delivered some incredible quotes, kind of Godfather-esque, a couple of them, and basically said that had Tyler Lupe made that field goal against the Steelers to send the Ravens to the playoffs, John Harbaugh would have had his job for one more week. He would have been gone regardless, which is funny because you juxtapose that against how he fired Harbaugh, which is via a phone call as Harbaugh was leaving the facility on a Tuesday. He knew he was going to fire him for weeks, waited until Harbaugh was driving home before he fired him over the phone. And he said since then that he regrets doing that. He apologized for that essentially, but he acknowledged that it was time to move on. And so we now have 3 of the 4 teams in the AFC North are all looking for head coaches. And somehow, Zach Taylor has outlasted all of them.
How is Zach Taylor the one guy? It's like the Will Smith Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meme where he's just like sitting
in the living room by himself. Furniture's gone.
Yeah. How is Zach Taylor the one that survived all of this?
Because the Bengals are notoriously tight with their money, and I think that they didn't want to pay his buyout.
And the funny thing, too, with the Steelers coaching search, so I was talking to one of our sports reporters today, and we were just going over, how good of a job is this? What kind of coach do you go get? And, he's like, you got to get an offensive mind, but if you have an offensive mind, you need the young quarterback with that. I said, well, that's not a problem because we don't have that. We don't have a young quarterback, so we can go get whoever we want and then go get the quarterback later on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a whole new world for the AFC North, and there are many other coaching openings that are gaining a lot of attention. I mean, you look at New York, John Harbaugh is considering the Giants and the Titans and the Falcons as his inside track 3. A lot of moves to be made in the coaching circles, but I think that we should really bring it back to the field because...
Well, hold on. I have one more question for you because last week I talked about the funniest thing would be if Kevin Stefanski went to Baltimore and the Browns had to play him twice a year. Would it be funnier, in fact, if he went to Pittsburgh instead of Baltimore?
It would be the funniest if somehow Harbaugh ended up with the Browns and you got Stefanski's Ravens versus Harbaugh's Browns. That's not going to happen, but it would just be hilarious if they just changed the roles. Yeah, I think the best place for Stefanski is New York, but we'll see what happens with him.
Probably agree. Yeah, let's go back to the field. Wild card weekend. Texans just wallop the Steelers 30-6. Life as usual in the Steel City these days. But there were some bangers over the weekend, Nick. I mean, we were getting spoiled by an insane wild card weekend. You start with 2 great games on Saturday. You had another 2 great games on Sunday, followed by what were the 2 worst games on Sunday night with the Chargers and Patriots, and then on Monday night with the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Start on Saturday. What do you want to start with? Just go in chronological order?
Yeah, we'll go chronological order. So we'll start with Rams-Panthers.
Who thought this one was going to be good?
Yeah.
I did.
I didn't. I thought this was the easiest game to pick of the weekend.
I saw that 10.5 line, and I'm like, no way. No way. The Panthers took it to the Rams the last time around, and for some reason, the Panthers just love to punch above their weight. Lose to the Falcons. No, sorry, they swept the Falcons this year. Lose to the Bucks. Lose to the Saints. Beat the Rams. I don't know what the Panthers are. I don't even think they know what they are. But, man, was that a fun game.
Yeah, I think that the Rams kind of did what the Rams do, which is... they looked like the dominant team earlier. They went up, I think, 14-0, and it was too easy for them to score in both of those drives. Puka Nacua just shredding them, Matthew Stafford shredding them. And then suddenly they get a couple of breaks their way, and they capitalize, and we have a tight game, a back-and-forth game for the rest of the contest. Bryce Young, I think, earned what eventually became his fifth-year option. The Panthers picked that up this week and proved that while he's not perfect, he can play, in the big moments and deliver. And the Panthers did a great job of staying in that game. It's fitting that the game ended with, Matthew Stafford throwing a touchdown pass to a tight end because the Rams love this 13-personnel 3 tight end group. But credit to the Panthers for battling and making it a really interesting game. And signs of concern still for the Rams, who, they became themselves again in the second half against Arizona in Week 18 and kind of reverted back to the struggles that they've experienced before. Stafford's accuracy was really bad in the third quarter. He was dealing with a finger injury, which he said is not going to be a problem. But I am still concerned about it, especially as they get ready to face the Bears this weekend. Overall, a great way to start Wild Card Weekend that only got better, Sean, on Saturday night. And why is that?
Because we got the oldest rivalry in the NFL in the playoffs. The Bears hosting the Packers. And I'll be honest, I was at a Packers bar for this game, Nick, or at least the first quarter of it, because I was shooting a segment where I go around and I talk about, how different fan clubs have found a home in Tampa Bay. It's a transplant city. So, we featured Bills backers, we've featured, Ravens fans and all these guys. And we were at a Packers bar in downtown Tampa. 150, 200 green and gold clad fans in there, and they were going nuts because the Packers took the early lead. I cut highlights for this game, Nick, for my 10 and 11 o'clock sportscast.
I know what you did.
I just put touchdown 1, touchdown 2, touchdown 3 for the Packers. Lopsided affair. And then for 11, I'm like, oh, well, the Bears have made it a closer game. So I did touchdown 2, touchdown 3 for the Packers, and then put a touchdown in there for the Bears. All right, it's getting closer. And then the inevitable happened.
All hell broke loose.
Come back from that. Down 21-6 at the half. 21-6. Or was it 21-3? It might have been 21-3.
It was 21-3 at halftime.
21-3 at the half. And they come back and beat their hated rivals. This was a heated rivalry, Nick.
Mind you, a Bears team that gave up touchdown drives of 9 plays, 85 yards, 456, 10 plays, 87 yards, 537. Could not get off the field on third down. And then gave up a touchdown drive of 8 plays, 32 yards because they went for it deep in their own territory, down 14-3. Ben Johnson being uber aggressive in the first half and having it burn him time and time again. Everything was in the Packers' favor, much like the last time they played in the regular season, in which they lost in miraculous fashion. And Matt LaFleur afterwards said, I felt like we controlled the game for 57 of 60 minutes and somehow lost. It was trending in that direction where they were controlling the game again. And just like that regular season meeting, oh my God, oh no, here come the Bears. It actually didn't really begin until the fourth quarter because the Bears had opportunities twice and had to settle for field goals. They got turned over on downs one time.
We've heard a lot about second half teams, Nick. The Bears are a fourth quarter team.
They are. They literally spoke all week about how they wanted to start fast. They couldn't afford to start slow. And what did they do? They started slow. And what does their defense do all year? They get takeaways, and that's how they win games. And what did they not do? They didn't get takeaways in this game. And yet somehow they found a way to win the contest. And I'll tell you why. Here's what happened. DeAndre Swift powers a really impressive drive. He finishes it with a 6-yard touchdown run, back-to-back really key runs for him to make it 21-16. Then the Packers respond with a drive that finishes on a great screen pass to Matthew Golden, and it's 27-16 with 6:36 left. And I'm thinking, this is it. Game's over. No. The Bears still have it in them. They score on a 10-play, 76-yard drive that goes just 2 minutes and 16 seconds. 8-yard pass to Olamide Zaccheaus. Get in the end zone, it's 27-24. Then they get a stop, and they hit DJ Moore for a 25-yarder from Caleb Williams to take a 31-27 lead. That on a drive in which they had to complete a miraculous fourth down pass to Rome Odunze that demonstrated why Caleb Williams is special. And for all the people in the world who are like, Shador and Caleb are the same guy, they're not. They're not even in the same stratosphere, guys. And if you need a play to prove it, it's that one. Caleb Williams rolling to his left, under pressure, sees Rome Odunze down the sideline, steps off of his inside foot, basically leaps and just uses that incredible arm and fires a perfect pass to Odunze, who adjusts perfectly to the football, catches it inside the sideline to give them a fresh set of downs, keep the drive going. They end up converting on a touchdown pass to Moore. It was a scintillating sequence of events for the Bears. It was so typical of what they do, which is pull wins from the jaws of defeat. And they did it to break the hearts of Packers fans in the most significant way, that a guy celebrating with a cheese grater in the stands nearly ran out of cheese by the time the game was over, because that's how frantic their fourth quarter comeback was.
I want to ask, how
I don't
do
know.
you get a cheese grater?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Like, of all the things, like, can't get nail clippers, can't get a nail file. Cheese grater, it's fine. He's got a block of cheese. What else is he going to do with the cheese grater?
Yeah, come on in.
So what I noticed, though, by the way, is all the alpha bros that are like, oh, Caleb Williams sucks because he wears nail polish and cried on TV one time. They're awfully quiet these days.
Yeah, because he's a damn good football player, and they don't have anything to say to discount that.
Do the Bears, Nick, dare I say, do the Bears have a little team of destiny in them?
A little bit. They got a little bit. Now, look, okay. So saving your best football for the fourth quarter is a dangerous way to operate. Like that is eventually not going. You can't rely on that enough to come through all the time, especially against the best teams. And I think that ultimately will be their downfall, which is why I don't see them fulfilling that destiny. But damn it makes them fascinating. It makes them a really fun watch. And you know what? They have to give some credit to Matt LaFleur, because the way he approached the third and fourth quarter opened the door for them to even be able to come back. They had 4 scoring drives in the fourth quarter. They scored on their first scoring drive with 13:29 left in the fourth. It is really not that common to see a team get that many possessions in the fourth quarter. By the drive chart alone, they scored on each of their final 4 possessions. Field goal, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
They outscored the Packers 25-6 in the second half.
Yes, and that's how you come back. But they were only able to do that because Matt LaFleur pulled his greatest Kyle Shanahan Super Bowl 51 impression. Sorry, Falcons fans. We're up 28-3. Maybe we should run the ball and bleed some clock. Nope, let's just keep throwing it. LaFleur, just keep throwing it. Just keep throwing it. Nothing's there. Just keep throwing it. Don't turn to the run. Just hand it off on second down. No, just going to hand it off on first down and throw it the next 2 downs and punt. Just did it over and over and over again. In the second half alone. Let me look at this drive chart and try to do this by the eye test here. Okay, let's see. That's the first quarter. That's the second quarter. Wow. So we get to halftime. They've had 4 possessions. They had 3 touchdowns and a missed field goal, right? And that's the first quarter. They end up going punt, 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 3 and out, 3 and out, 5 and out, 3 and out, touchdown, missed field goal, 11-play, 49-yard drive that ends up short of the end zone. That should not have happened. Possession time on those final 4 possessions. How long did they possess the ball? 51 seconds on a 3 and out in which they gained 0 yards and had negative 10 yards of penalties. 3 minutes and 32 seconds on the touchdown drive. A minute 27 on the missed field goal. A minute 43 and the final drive. And prior to that, 1:39, 2 minutes and 36 seconds, 2 other punt drives. This was a team that gave you a masterclass in how to allow another team that is facing a deficit to stay in the game. And that's why they lost. So that led to, is Matt LaFleur going to lose his job? As of today, Wednesday, still employed. I wouldn't bank on it being 100% that he's still going to be their coach because they continue to do this. They did this multiple times this season. They have had good teams that have fallen short of expectations over and over again. It's becoming a trend.
Extend him, apparently.
I feel like that's a move to demonstrate stability, and we are confident in what we have, and we're headed in the right direction. But I'm telling you, the results speak differently.
But I'll tell you what, too. I'm sure there's some other teams out there that would be willing to pay Matt LaFleur more.
Exactly, which is why they want to extend him. Yep, yeah. That's why they want to extend him.
I'm a Steelers fan. I'm looking at Matt LaFleur going, is Malik Willis coming with you?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Great pairing. I love that idea because Malik Willis is going to get a job somewhere. He's going to get a job somewhere else.
The Steelers love to hire young. Matt LaFleur is only 38 years old. A little old for the Steelers in terms of their head coaching hires. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. That's okay. Moving on to Sunday, Nick. Another great way to start the day. The game we said, we're most looking forward to delivered. Bills and Jags.
Yeah, this is what we said was our most fascinating game of the weekend, and it lived up to those expectations. Back and forth affair. Bills, Jags trying to match each other score for score. Bills owning a narrow but early lead. Jags turning it on in the fourth quarter, taking a 17-13 lead with a big drive from Trevor Lawrence and Parker Washington that ends in a touchdown. Bills respond with a 15-yard touchdown pass to Dalton Kincaid. Jags respond with another great drive, 10 plays, 77 yards, 14-yard pass to Travis Etienne. It's 24-20 Jags. But of course, in classic fashion, in a matchup of teams, one that's been there routinely and the other one that has not been there in a while, the team with experience ends up winning out. Josh Allen leads a 9-play, 66-yard drive that includes a 4th down conversion on a tush push. By the way, the same play that their coach, Sean McDermott, campaigned to ban in the offseason. Benefits them. He picks up, I think, 10 yards on a tush push, gets him to the 1-yard line, and then finishes it off with a 1-yard run to make it 27-24. And in a game in which Trevor Lawrence overcame early mistakes and was finding a rhythm and keeping the Jaguars in it, the first play on the final drive with 59 seconds, an eternity to try to move down the field. Throws a pass over the middle, and it's broken up by Tre'Davious White, who tips in the air right into Cole Bishop's hands for the game-sealing interception. And just in the blink of an eye, the Jags' promising season ends in heartbreak. And you know what? While it was heartbreaking for the Jags and their fans, it is the first step toward what they believe, and what I think is true, could be a very prosperous future for this team. They are on the rise, whereas the Bills stave off defeat, what would have been an embarrassing defeat by some regards, and continue their playoff march where in a postseason in which everybody looks at them and says, you have no excuse to not go win a Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to be that easy, but they stayed alive, and at this time of the year, survive and advance is what matters most.
I think there's only 2 teams that came out of this weekend and said, you know what? We lost, but feel good about ourselves. Feel good about where we're going. That's the Panthers, and that's the Jags. And I feel a lot better about my team if I'm a Jags fan, just because, you go from losing 13 games the year before to winning 13 games this year. They were right there with the Bills. They should be the team on the rise here in the AFC. But we've seen that team do that before, and then they kind of crumble. I think this Jags team's a little bit different. Moving on. Niners, Eagles. Oh, look, another early round exit under Nick Sirianni for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I'll say one thing about the Bills real quick. Josh Allen did what Josh Allen does. Yes. We thought he couldn't put the superhero cape on, and he did.
I never said he couldn't put the superhero cape on.
I was worried about his health.
He got banged around in that game a lot.
And he already had injuries.
My concern with the Bills is they always ask him to put the Superman cape on.
Yeah.
One day he's going to try and tear open his jersey and realize the S isn't under the jersey anymore. It always happens. Doesn't happen always in the wild card week or the divisional round. Could happen in the AFC title game. Boy, it would be a gut punch if it happened in the Super Bowl this year, but it always happens.
I think it could happen in Denver. Anyway, to move on to San Francisco, Philadelphia, you're right. Oh, look, another early round exit for the Eagles. Another early round exit for the most dramatic team in football that could not figure out its offense despite all the talent that it had, and a fitting conclusion for an Eagles team that could never hit their stride. They fired their offensive coordinator after this game, rightfully so. Kevin Patullo out after 1 year because he had no idea what to do with that offense. And I think they kind of handled it about as poorly as possible, it being their final game of the season. You have Nick Sirianni getting into arguments with A.J. Brown on the sideline before halftime to just telling him to get off the field, and A.J. Brown getting in his face. Like, there's clearly dysfunction within this organization. I thought Sirianni was at risk of losing his job. Instead, he fires his offensive coordinator. He's still employed. But unless they find the right play caller, which they did with Kellen Moore a couple of years ago, I think that this is more of the same. And they're going to continue to be an annoying team that, like, is very talented. Their GM is one of the best, and if not the best, in football. And yet their coach cannot seem to maintain a grip on this operation, and they crumble. And it was just so perfect. We had so many fitting endings this weekend that, given a chance to go down and score the game-winning touchdown, the Eagles instead call a timeout before a crucial fourth down, gotta-have-it play, and draw up one of the worst options possible for their quarterback. Like, just a dysfunctional operation across the board, and their season ends. Now, credit to the 49ers. They continue to pull rabbits out of hats by being competitive despite losing a ton of talent. They have lost so much talent to injury this year.
More in this game.
They did, and yet somehow they find ways to win. Brock Purdy had a classic Brock Purdy game. He threw some interceptions. He made some great plays. He made some clutch throws in key moments, and they also drew up a little trick play. Juwan Jennings throwing a touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey, a beautiful example of athleticism and great play design at the perfect time, and ultimately they won the coaching battle. Kyle Shanahan outcoached Nick Sirianni and his entire staff the entire game.
I was talking about this. I did guest host my boss's podcast this week, the No Off Days podcast. Go find that one. And he was asking me about like these coaching changes because we were talking about Tomlin, we were talking about Harbaugh, and how there could be more coaching changes coming. And I said, I'll name one right now. I said, I think the Eagles should think about moving on from Nick Sirianni. There is clearly, like you said, dysfunction, not just in that locker room, but in that organization, and also dysfunction between Sirianni and the fans. Remember, his job was on the line 2 years ago. He's out, wins a Super Bowl. All is forgiven. And I'm not saying it's such a knee-jerk reaction to say, okay, it's another early playoff exit, you should be fired. That's not the reason I'm saying he should be fired. When you look at the body of work, yes, absolutely, has a Super Bowl. Should there be more?
Been to two.
Yeah, should there be more? Should there have been more success? We're going to start talking about Nick Sirianni like he's Mike Tomlin. Like, yeah, I see what you're doing, but is it really you? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are they winning in spite of you at this point?
That's the tough part about this, because if you look at the resume, he has the same resume as Mike Tomlin in terms of total Super Bowl appearances and Super Bowl victories. But his team, as currently constructed, is superior to what Tomlin has worked with over the last, 9 years.
Yeah.
And he still comes to the same result. What it really looks like to me more than anything is like, this is all very hypothetical and I guess kind of wishful thinking, but let's think about what the Eagles might look like if their old coach, Andy Reid, was their coach. I think they probably would have won a couple more Super Bowls by now, and they certainly wouldn't be the nightmare offensively that they've been this past season that they were 2 seasons ago. So I think that it's valid to question whether they should have him, but winning a Super Bowl earns you goodwill. How much goodwill does it earn you? At least one more year. If they are the same mess that they were this year, I can't imagine him staying beyond that. He almost, like you said, got fired a couple of years ago and managed to hang on to his job and win a Super Bowl. I just don't see him pulling off the same turnaround next year. Not with there's like toxicity in that building, among the players and him. And I think that like he's a coach who has never ditched the whole like bro athlete mindset. Yes. And it just shows at the worst possible time. So disappointing for the Eagles, not surprising. And congratulations to the 49ers for making it another week. Will they win this week? I don't know. I feel like eventually their injuries are going to catch up to them, and we'll see what happens ultimately. But like if I'm going into this weekend, they're playing the Seahawks, I expect the Seahawks to win that game, and this is where their run ends. But you know what? The fact they got to the divisional round with this team, as banged up as they are, great job by Kyle Shanahan.
Golf clap for the 49ers with how many people they're missing and continuing to miss now that George Kittle has torn his Achilles. The last game of the weekend, we talked about the Texans Steelers, so we don't need to talk about them anymore. But Sunday Night Football was Chargers Patriots.
Yeah, we just worked through the 4 really good games. Now we get to the 2 clunkers.
Oh my gosh. I'm watching this game, and because it was on network TV and the broadcast window was open, I knew I wasn't going to be able to have any highlights for my either 10 or 11 o'clock show. Not that there were really any highlights to show you. I had the 9-3 scoreboard in there, and then like during the commercial break, my producer updated it. He's like, "Hey, Patriots scored a touchdown. I'm gonna update your graphic." All right, cool. And in my script, it was like, we had a field goal bowl. Patriots just scored a touchdown. I was like, it feels like this game is like completely over because the Chargers have not been able to do anything. Look, I mean, when you're missing, 2 All-Pro offensive linemen, right?
Mm-hmm. Both your starting tackle. Well, I don't know if I would say Joe Alt is an All-Pro. It's his first or second year, but like he is first year. He was going to be. He's a tackle who could become an All-Pro. Yeah.
But we knew it wasn't going to be a long stay in the playoffs for the Chargers. We didn't know it would be this bad.
I had a feeling. I told you I was getting. Remember, I said rock fights a lot last weekend. This one felt like it was going to be a rock fight, and it sure as hell became a rock fight because the Chargers can't protect. Their offense is uninspired. Greg Roman, I think the game has passed him by. None of his receivers, which they have talented receivers, were open. Herbert never had time to throw. The running game is non-existent because of the offensive line. And Omari and Hampton only played 2 snaps because he has a bum ankle that he couldn't play through. It's a low-ceiling operation, and unless their defense gets you takeaways and puts you in scoring positions, which they did early, and the Chargers didn't cash in, you're probably going to lose. You have to win with toughness, winning in the trenches on the defensive side, and hoping that Justin Herbert can somehow, again, play Superman and lead your offense. And against this very aggressive, opportunistic Patriots defense that just slammed the door shut on them in the second half, that was not possible. And that's why we ended up with that lopsided win for the Patriots. Even though 16-3 isn't lopsided, it sure felt like that. And then on the Patriots side, Drake May struggled. He had some struggles, like first time in the playoffs, very understandable, but he made some great throws and some great plays in key spots, and especially in the second half. The touchdown pass was the greatest play of the game for either side. It was a perfectly thrown ball, and it finished the game. At that point, we knew this game is over. Mike Vrabel can go start celebrating because we know the Chargers aren't going to do anything. And a really disappointing conclusion for a Chargers team that I think overachieved again for a second straight year and now needs to look internally and go, how do we get past this? Because getting to the playoffs is no longer just enough.
So, real quick, I said last week, I don't think we really know what this Patriots team is because the one knock on them was their Charmin soft schedule. I still feel like we didn't really learn that much about them through this game because it was such an ugly game. You mentioned the Chargers need Justin Herbert to put that Superman cape on again. He has not done that in either of the 3 playoff games that he has started as quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers.
No, he's been bad.
Those games.
Yeah,
he has as many touchdown passes in the playoffs over his career as Juwan Jennings has. There's a stat for you.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at him as a regular season merchant at this point. I think that game against the Texans last year was still the worst showing that he had because their offensive line wasn't good in that game either, but he had as many picks in that game as he'd had all season. He had more than he had all season in that game. Like, he just self-destructed, that whole operation did. This time around, I don't think he really ever had a chance. When they went for it early and didn't convert on 4th down with the pass to the end zone, I was like, that might be their only chance to score a touchdown. And it was. And the Patriots defense looks like world beaters now because they just played a Chargers low-ceiling offense. We'll see how that looks going into the next weekend because it's going to get a lot tough. Well, maybe not that much tougher against the Texans offense that kind of resembles the Chargers in some ways.
Right, a little bit, yeah. All right. We already talked about the Monday night game. We don't need to get more into that. Texans defense is good. Steelers offense is bad.
Let's pick these games real quick.
That's what I want to do. Let's start off 4:30 Saturday. Bills at Broncos. Nick.
Okay. I may be seen as a Bills hater, and you know what? I'll lean right into that because I still think there's a level of fraudulence to them that they're not going to be able to escape. However,
yeah, the fraud alert was alive all season long, you said.
Yep. I think that Josh Allen is going to make them competitive and be a thorn in the Broncos' side, but ultimately the Broncos are going to win. I have Broncos 24, Bills 22. The home field advantage, the Broncos' opportunistic defense, and the Bills' injuries. They lost 2 receivers to ACL tears on Sunday. They lost Gabe Davis and Tyrell Shavers. They're down to 3 healthy receivers on the active roster. They're going to have to promote at least one more. I think that is just going to be too much to overcome, and the Broncos are going to win that game. What say you?
I'm counting right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The Broncos played in 13 games decided by 1 possession. Nick, you said the Bills were going to be a thorn in the Broncos' side, but what do the Broncos apparently love to do?
Well, they like to be good in the fourth quarter, and they like to win 1-possession games.
They love to win 1-possession games. Give me the Broncos.
All right, I love that. Let's move on to the next game. 49ers at Seahawks. No matter how hard Kyle Shanahan campaigned, he is again on a short week, the primetime slot on Saturday night, going to Seattle to face the Seahawks team that held them to just 3 points in a ugly showing just a few weeks ago.
I've got to go with the Seahawks here. The number 1 seed. Now, here's the thing. Does Sam Darnold turn back into
a pumpkin?
What? Yep. Turn back into a pumpkin? Is he seeing ghosts again? We'll see. I don't think so. I think the Seahawks team is good enough even if Sam Darnold isn't on his A game. And I can't believe that the 49ers are going to go into Seattle, into that environment, and win with all those injuries.
Yep.
Like, so many injuries. They are not as much of a dumpster fire, I don't want to say the Eagles are a dumpster fire, but at least there's something wrong in that locker room, and that's not the case in Seattle, so I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think that what we saw from these two teams recently, it's interesting because the Seahawks won that game by dominating the ground game. They didn't really need that much from Sam Darnold, and their defense just absolutely shut down the Niners. The Niners had no answer. They had one drive of significance that ended in a deflected pass that went off Christian McCaffrey's hands, second deflection, and it was intercepted, and they never had a chance to come even close from then on. So, I don't think that necessarily that they're going to have to lean on Kenny Walker to run for a big total again like they did in the last game, but I also don't believe that Sam Darnold's going to have to do that much. And the beauty of it is, for Sam, is the 49ers cannot generate a pass rush. They haven't been able to for months because they're lacking all their guys up front. It's more about, can you outscore them? And you're facing what's one of the best, if not the best defense in the NFL in Seattle. That's a formula for a loss, in my opinion, and I think that the Seahawks will win this one. I had it closer than most probably will. I had Seahawks 23, Niners 13, giving the Niners a little bit of respect and a little bit of credence to the whole weirdness of playoff games sometimes, but I think that Seattle is going to largely not dominate, but exert control over this contest and eliminate the 49ers.
I realized I wasn't giving scores, so I'm not going to do that for the rest of the time. Just because I don't feel like it. I didn't do it for the first two. I'm not going to do it for the next two.
That's fair.
Speaking of the next two. Sunday,
Hide from the critics, Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah, come for me. Texans, Patriots. Texans. I'm going Texans. That defense is so good. Gave me the Texans. Gave me the Houston Texans. I am going to ride with the Swarm.
I would love to clip that. I am going to ride with the Swarm. Look, this is a tough one for me. I was really conflicted on picking this game because here's a stat for you, Sean. CJ Stroud was responsible for 5 fumbles in that 30-6 win over the Steelers. He is only the second quarterback in NFL history, regular season, postseason, doesn't matter, to win a game in which he accounted only second player in which he accounted for
CJ
5
Stroud
fumbles.
Was doing a lot to keep the Steelers in that game through the first 3 quarters.
He joins Eli Manning in Week 16 of the 2007 season as the only 2 players to account for 5 fumbles in a game and win the game. And that is because the Steelers' offense could do nothing to capitalize on the opportunities that Stroud consistently gave them, which also included a pick 6 in Pittsburgh's red zone. I think the Patriots obviously have a better offense than that and will be able to cash in at least one of those mistakes. And the reason I think that those mistakes will happen again is because Houston's offense, for as much as I like CJ Stroud in a vacuum, he did not handle the pressure of a playoff game well. He did not look like the guy who was playing his 5th playoff game. He just didn't.
You're not a fan of the backfield of Woody and Chubb?
Woody Marks' first career 100-yard game. Congratulations. I just don't see this offense doing enough to keep up, and the defense will give them opportunities. I just don't see this offense cashing them in. So, as much as I think defenses win championships, and this is a championship-level defense, Nick Caley's inability to get the most out of this offense is going to bite them in the butt, and the Patriots are going to win 19-13.
Nick, I don't want the Patriots to be back yet. I can't. Literally after they won.
Buddy, they took the 2 seed. Dude, they're back.
After they won over the weekend, one of our reporters was like, end of the longest playoff drought of my lifetime. Shut up.
Oh, boo-hoo. 5 years, 4 years, whatever it was.
Shut up.
It's such a tough time.
Generation to get another generational quarterback. Last game, Sunday Night Football. It's the Rams and the Bears. I had to pick this one last night again on my boss's podcast, the No Off Days podcast. I said the Rams, but I didn't feel good about it.
Mm-hmm. And because it's in Chicago. It's Chicago. Yeah. And the Bears are that 4th quarter team that I think could totally wipe out the Rams' Super Bowl ambitions. I was very conflicted picking this game. But what I think... I think back to Stafford playing in Atlanta a few weeks ago and just throwing pick after pick after pick, and the Rams not looking like the machine they were before. And I thought, man, that could happen against Chicago. They're a takeaway-friendly team. But they didn't get any takeaways in their most recent game. Still won the game. And I think that getting those takeaways requires operational mistakes on the part of the Rams, which usually they don't commit. So if Stafford can play within himself, he's got Devontae Adams to dice up a defense in the red zone. He's got Puka Nacua. He's got all those tight ends. He's got Kyron Williams. They got a largely healthy offensive line. I think that the Bears' defense, for as good as they are with takeaways, are a bend but don't break operation that broke a few times against the Packers. Gave up a ton of 3rd downs early in that game. The Rams could do the same thing. So, yes, the Bears have home field advantage. Yes, they have this 4th quarter magic. They have a quarterback in Caleb Williams I love to watch. But I think that in the terms of strength of team, the Rams come away victorious in a close one, 27-24.
Nick loves a good rock fight.
That's not a rock fight. 27-24, that's like the Panthers score. Wasn't it?
Does rock
It's pretty
fight
close.
only have to do with low-scoring games?
Yeah,
Or do
rock
you feel
fights are
back and
like
fight, back and
there
forth
was a Cardinals game in week 2 against the Niners that they lost 16-15. That is a rock fight.
There we go. All right. That's the divisional round. Nick,
That's 45 minutes.
gold chain in your tank top. Do we have any F1 news to talk about?
No,
think-
I mean, livery season is upon us, but we
Yeah,
haven't
start
gotten
this
anything yet. Yeah.
No, we haven't gotten anything. Cadillac revealed that they had a test livery. It's just a
Yeah.
black car with a black Caddy logo on it.
It's
So
like silverish black. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty. It was real pretty.
if we can switch gears real quick.
Oh,
what
nice.
livery are you looking forward to most seeing? It's got to be Cadillac, right? Just because they're a new team.
Yeah, Cadillac.
Audi.
Audi already gave you the base of it, which wasn't very inspiring.
Breaking news, the Ferrari is going to be red.
And the Red Bull will be navy blue. But something tells me Red Bull might switch it up a little bit. There's been signs. There's been signs. Might be a little less yellow in that Red Bull car. Otherwise, no. I mean, McLaren, they produce some great liveries. I don't like their stock livery that much, but their alternate liveries are great. No more lime green car. So goodbye. Bye, Kick, Sauber, Steak, something Casino. Yeah. What is that? Chumba Casino, or whatever, the one that's getting advertised now?
V-Carb or, Racing Bulls. They always have a good one. They always somewhat come out with a good livery. So
Yeah.
yeah. Livery season's upon us. It's that time of year where we're just talking about, whatever
Haas
there
will be
is
black and red. I promise you that.
with some white. You know what? If they could go back to that gray livery they had, that's kind of cool. I need some color though. I need
Okay,
some
so
pop of color.
I have a theory. And I don't know if it's going to apply, but in football, in basketball as well, baseball never really had a huge change. All the uniforms are going back toward what they call the modern classic.
Yes.
You're getting a lot of just classical elements that you saw in the 70s and 80s on the uniforms. I would not be surprised if we saw a little bit of F1 turning back the clock to like the early 2000s, late 90s, which was ambitious at the time, but it would be different than what we have right now. I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for it.
I hope that Mercedes goes full silver again. I like the full silver look.
I
Great.
agree.
They don't need black on the car anymore.
Quit
It's
trying
full
to
silver.
toe the line between black and silver. Just be silver.
Be full silver. You are the silver arrows. All right, that's a cool 47 minutes, Nick. For Nick Shook, the absent Katie Caldwell, I'm Sean Barie. As always, if you like us, subscribe, listen, share us. You can find us on Instagram at GridironPod, on TikTok at the.gridiron.podcast, and on YouTube where, Nick?
YouTube.com/@gridironpod.
You can also email us at the Gridiron Podcast 3. That's the Gridiron Podcast number 3.
Damn
Damn those,
those other two.
Oh, he's been watching musicals lately.
Yeah.
At gmail.com. For Nick Shook, I'm Sean Barie. As always, live life in the fast lane. We'll be back next week for episode 94.
Good night, Canada, and good night,
Moon.
Chicago Bears. Good night, Chicago Bears. You had a fun season, but it's ending now. All right, goodbye.